the amazing people that you heard yesterday, that you're going to hear today, that you're going to hear tomorrow. And we and they have to come to occupy the Department of Education. We're not even in the building. Those wise, amazing, powerful people are not in there. They're out here on the sidewalk and need written permission to get through the door. What is wrong with that picture? The people who need to be in there have to stand out here, and we need to change that. And part of why we're here for the next 4 days is to make sure that change happens. So when we leave here after the next 4 days, we're going to all walk away with a vision of how we're going to bring it back to our communities and put the right people in the right places to make the changes we want to see for our children.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started right away today, and I have the pleasure of announcing Stephen Round, who is best known for his YouTube video called I Quit. But I want to read a little bit more to you about Stephen Round, because there's some things you don't know about him that aren't shared in that video. So he's a former Rhode Island elementary teacher, currently tutoring dyslexic, dysgraphic primary students in New Hope Academy in Killingly, Connecticut. His recent viral YouTube resignation entitled Rhode Island Teacher Says I Quit struck a nerve with teachers, parents, and students alike, condemning a one-size-fits-all, testing-obsessed approach to education, which leaves many children behind, both socially and academically. His website, on which you can view his approach to tutoring struggling readers, is www.pireading.com. He and his wife, who is also a teacher, live in Foster, Rhode Island. They have 4 children and 6 grandchildren. His presentation is one size does not fit all. Come on up, Stephen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Stephen Round, and I was a 1st and 2nd grade teacher. Before I begin, I want to say how happy I am to be among people who are rallying together for change in the educational system. If you don't recognize my name, that's okay. It means that someone who is an unknown, like me, can, in fact, make a difference. I hope that's what happened when I publicly resigned my teaching position on YouTube. I took a stand because I could no longer give my students the same school experience that my own children had had. My kids, all college-educated, lifelong learners, would not have done well in today's public schools. My youngest daughter, a classic type A personality, was and continues to be test phobic. She would not have done well in today's system. My son, who entered school as a 7-year-old English language learner, would have been defeated by high-stakes testing before he had even begun. My other 2 daughters, who loved field trips, class pets, and sustained silent reading, would not have done well in today's classroom either, where field trips into the real world are non-existent. Classroom pets have been banned, and sustained silent reading is a luxury that does not fit into the scripted school day. The difference between what my children had and what public school children experience today is glaring. My kids had a focused education filled with promise, and teachers who were encouraged to instill a love of learning in their students. Public school students today have an education in constant flux, with ever-changing politically and financially motivated initiatives. Teachers are denied opportunities to be creative and develop lifelong learners so that they can show fidelity to programs and teach to the test. The only promise that is apparent in today's classroom is the promise of high-stakes testing. And I'm not just talking about one test, I'm talking about multiple tests throughout the year. Since No Child Left Behind became the law of the land in 2001, I have watched the quality of education going down and the quantity going up for both the students and the teachers alike. Race to the top has simply made it worse. So I quit, because a one-size-fits-all education does not recognize the fact that every child is unique. Every child has his own strengths and weaknesses, and every child needs to feel special and loved. I quit because students with dyslexia, smart, capable, motivated children who want to succeed, are labeled by standardized tests as failures and told it's because they don't pay attention, that they're lazy and they don't try hard enough. I quit because when I began to successfully address my dyslexic students' needs through after-school tutoring on my own time, I was told by the administration that this tutoring wasn't part of our one-size-fits-all curriculum and that I had to stand aside and watch them fail. I quit because I value childhood and our public schools simply don't. I quit because in my school, students were no longer allowed to enter the schoolyard early, just to run around and socialize and have a sit-down breakfast in the cafeteria. I quit because in my school, teachers were required to serve that breakfast in the classroom, where students were expected to eat it in silence while doing their class work. I quit because in my school, the cafeteria was so poorly designed that the resulting noise level was unhealthy and inhospitable for children and staff alike, which often resulted in the imposition of silent lunch, which was totally unfair to all children. I quit because in my school, kids had no recess time to speak of. 10 minutes after lunch, when weather permits, is not enough time to relieve stress and get even a minimum amount of exercise. Ironically, adult workers, in addition to their lunch break, are given a 10-minute break in the morning and a 10-minute break in the afternoon by law. If what kids do in school is considered school work, and we keep piling more and more of this work on them, don't they deserve breaks like their adult counterparts? I quit because little children are sitting under fluorescent lights, supposedly learning about earth science, rather than going outside to experience earth science. I quit because I had several children with severe behavior issues in my classroom who received absolutely no counseling or therapy whatsoever. I quit because in Providence, children with severe behavior problems are shuffled from school to school rather than receiving the counseling and support that they need. I quit because many of these behavior problems could have been avoided if we treated our children as children, giving them opportunities to speak and socialize, run around and play, and even just relax and talk. Their misbehaviors are simply a reflection of the lack of respect the school continues to show for their development as children. I quit because in my school, library time, when the children got it, was less than 30 minutes a week. I quit because when my students did get to borrow a book, they weren't allowed to take them home. I quit because those same library books sat in a box for 2 weeks because there was no time in our schedule for free reading. I quit because teacher read-alouds, once considered absolutely necessary for modeling and cultivating a love of the printed word, have been replaced with scripted programs and pacing guides and tests, and more tests. I quit because hardworking teachers are not recognized for the effort that they put in each and every day. I quit because best practices for teachers are dictated rather than democratized. I quit because my administration only gives lip service to teachers' input. I quit because children are not top priority in the public schools. Saving money is. I quit because our goal of creating lifelong learners has been sacrificed to boost short-term test scores. I quit because creativity, innovation, and motivation, the characteristics that made the American workforce #1 in the world, are now discouraged and often prohibited within our classrooms. I quit because Educrats and school administrators are so far removed from today's classrooms that they think nothing of increasing the demands on students and teachers alike, while squandering away precious classroom time on meaningless tests and test prep. I quit because these same Educrats often put their children in private schools to avoid the same programs that they are now foisting upon their charges. And those who put their kids in a public school they are sure to enroll them in the best schools and in the best part of town, thus avoiding the ones impacted most by their misguided policies. I quit because although I believe in data and scientific research, I have witnessed firsthand how misguided use of it has put a stranglehold on teacher creativity and differentiation. And finally, I quit because my favorite memories of elementary school, talking to and making new friends, coloring and drawing, playing tag, dodgeball, handball, basketball, touch football, boys chasing the girls, girls chasing the boys, jump rope, swings and slides, climbing on the jungle gym, marbles, I'm dating myself, trading cards, dressing up for Halloween, bake sales with homemade cookies and cupcakes, Christmas parties, exchanging Valentine cards on Valentine's Day, birthday celebrations, fish tanks, white mice, guinea pigs, snakes, frogs, turtles, incubating baby chicks and ducklings, apple and pumpkin picking and a day at the Children's Museum, the Art Museum, or the Science Museum, visiting a bakery or a dairy, a trip to the zoo, the aquarium, or spending the day on a working farm. Those memories may never again be part of our children's elementary school experience unless things begin to change today. Are we up to the challenge?